Will you get in the boxing ring with Claressa Shields? Why the would I do that? I got way more talent than to be punching on people for a living. Come on now. I am a multitasking motherfucker and I can do way more than punch on people for a living. No, ma'am. I helped Claressa run her page up when she didn't know what the she was doing when she first got on the scene. So for her to be saying anything about my son was just ludicrous. Like, you should have came in there with, you know, what he could do, what he should do, what he did. You can just be like, he lost and you ain't even watched the whole fight. I don't like when people don't watch the whole shit, because y'all got me talking shit and then I go back and watch the whole fight. Like, why y'all only posting that one round? Why we not posting the first 4 rounds before Blue ran out of gas whooping that ass? Then y'all gonna post the 6th round like he was whooping his ass the whole time. Like, come on now. Y'all dudes be doing, y'all be having me looking crazy too. If we fight for 6 minutes and I whoop your ass for the first 4, I won that fight. I don't give a fuck if I slipped and fell out no ring and hit landed on the goddamn ground. If I get up and tell them people keep it going and y'all stop the fight, y'all know that's some silly shit there. Sounds set up-ish. Because if I accidentally fall out the ring, but I jump up and I know how to get my bearings together and I'm all good, and I say keep the fight going, we good. Why didn't they keep the fight going? Because they knew he was going to get off that motherfucking floor mad as they knew he was going to hit speed on their ass. They knew that second wind was about to kick in and somebody was going to lose some money. That's what they knew. They knew that for sure. Because why in the was them things so flimsy? Have you ever seen anybody fall out the damn thing? The shit was bending all up. Was that the plan? Was that the plan, to get him on the ropes? Make sure they flimsy so you fall out? Shit, I would talk about suing somebody for them motherfucking flimsy ass ropes. That's what I will be talking about.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The internet was already on fire after Blueface's boxing drama. Fans arguing, clips going viral. People debating like it was a championship fight. And then Claressa Shields stepped in and said what she had to say. And just like that, the temperature didn't rise. It exploded because when Claressa Shields talks, people listen. But this time, not everybody liked what they heard. Especially not Karlissa. And if you know Karlissa, you already know she is not the type to sit quietly while somebody talks spicy about her son. Oh no. She came in with energy, with attitude, with that "I've been waiting for this moment" type of response that instantly turned this situation from a simple opinion into a full-blown internet showdown. Now suddenly, this isn't just about a boxing match anymore. This isn't just about Blueface winning or losing. This turned into something way bigger. A clash of personalities, a war of words. And a situation where every single comment felt like it carried weight. And the internet. Oh, they didn't just watch. They picked sides fast. Some people were backing Claressa, saying she was just speaking facts, calling it like she sees it. Others were riding hard for Karlissa, saying no mother is going to let someone come at her son without responding. And just like that, the timeline turned into a battlefield. Memes started flying. Clips got replayed. Comments turned into debates that went way deeper than they probably should have. People weren't just reacting anymore. They were invested. But here's where things get interesting, because this wasn't just a random backdash and dash forth. No. There's history, there's tension, there's underlying energy that makes this whole situation feel way more personal than it looks on the surface. Now let's rewind this entire situation. Because this didn't just come out of nowhere like a random internet argument. This is the kind of drama that builds slowly, piece by piece, until one moment sets everything off. And in this case, that moment came right after Blueface's boxing situation started going viral and people began forming strong opinions. The fight itself had already created enough chaos. Fans were debating performance, arguing over outcomes, and breaking down clips like they were analyzing a championship bout. Some people were supportive, others were critical. And the conversation was already heated before Claressa Shields even entered the picture. But when she did, everything shifted. Because Claressa isn't just any random commentator, she's a real boxer, someone with credibility, experience, and a voice that carries weight. So when she spoke on Blueface's fight, people didn't just hear it, they took it seriously. And that's exactly what made her comments hit differently. Now here's where things start getting interesting. Because while some fans agreed with her take, others felt like she crossed a line. They weren't just hearing analysis, they were hearing criticism. And in a situation where emotions were already high, that kind of energy was bound to spark a reaction. And that reaction, yeah, it came from Karlissa. Now, if you know anything about Karlissa, you already understand the energy she brings. She's not quiet, she's not passive. And she's definitely not the type to sit back while someone speaks on her son without saying something. So when Claressa's comments started circulating, it was only a matter of time before Karlissa stepped in. And when she did, it wasn't subtle. It wasn't calm. It wasn't polite. It was direct, it was loud, and it instantly turned the situation from a simple opinion into a full-blown confrontation. Because now, it wasn't just Claressa speaking on Blueface. It was Karlissa defending him, and that changed the entire tone of the conversation. The internet picked up on that immediately, because once a situation turns personal, people pay more attention. It's no longer about who's right or wrong in a technical sense. It becomes about loyalty, emotion, and perspective. And that's exactly what happened here. Some fans immediately took Karlissa's side, saying she had every right to defend her son. They framed her response as protective, as something any parent would do in that situation. And honestly, that argument made sense to a lot of people. But on the other side, there were fans who backed Claressa. They argued that she was simply giving her professional opinion, speaking from experience, and that her comments shouldn't be taken personally. To them, it wasn't about disrespect, it was about honesty. And just like that, the internet split into two completely different narratives. One side saw a mother defending her son. The other saw a professional being criticized for speaking her truth. And in the middle of all that confusion, because both sides had points that made sense, which only made the debate more intense. It wasn't a clear-cut situation where one person was obviously right and the other was wrong. It was layered, complicated, and open to interpretation. Meanwhile, the clips started spreading even faster. Karlissa's response got reposted, replayed, and reacted to from every possible angle. People weren't just watching what she said. They were analyzing how she said it, the tone, the delivery, the energy behind it. Everything became part of the conversation. At the same time, Claressa's original comments were being revisited. People went back to see exactly what she said, how she said it, and whether it justified the reaction it received. And the more they looked, the more opinions started forming. Some people felt like her comments were fair and based on her experience. Others felt like they were unnecessary and disrespectful. And once those opinions started clashing, things escalated quickly. Because now, it wasn't just about the fight anymore. It was about respect. It was about boundaries. It was about who has the right to say what in a situation like this. And those are the kinds of topics that never stay calm on the internet. At the same time, Blueface himself remained at the center of all of this, even if he wasn't directly involved in the back and forth. His fight, his performance, his name, it was all being discussed from every angle. And now this added layer of drama only made things more intense, because now every opinion about the fight felt connected to the bigger situation. Every comment carried more weight. Every reaction felt more personal. And the narrative kept evolving with every new post, every new clip, every new perspective that got added into the mix. But here's the thing. This was only the beginning, because once a situation like this starts gaining momentum, it doesn't slow down. And just like that, the situation didn't just stay heated, it went full meltdown mode. Because once Karlissa's response hit the timeline, it was like somebody dropped gasoline on an already burning fire. The reactions didn't trickle in, they flooded in fast. loud, and completely out of control. Now let's talk about the energy, because this wasn't just a simple back and forth. This felt like a full-on showdown where every word carried weight and every reaction added fuel. Karlissa didn't just respond, she came with that bold, unapologetic tone that made it clear she wasn't backing down for anybody. And the internet, oh, they loved it. Some people were cheering her on like she just won a championship belt, calling her the ultimate protective mom, saying she said exactly what needed to be said. Others were like, hold on, this might have gone too far, questioning whether the response matched the situation. Meanwhile, Claressa Shields didn't just disappear from the conversation. Her name kept trending, her comments kept getting replayed, and people kept dissecting every single word she originally said. It turned into this loop where both sides were being analyzed at the same time. And nobody could agree on who was in the right. Then came the memes. And honestly, the memes were ruthless. People started turning the situation into full WWE comparisons, calling it Karlissa versus Claressa, the unexpected main event. Others compared it to reality TV reunions where two strong personalities collide. And nobody walks away quietly, and somehow, those comparisons actually felt accurate. But underneath the jokes, there was a serious layer building, because for every meme, there were real debates happening. People weren't just laughing. They were arguing, breaking things down, choosing sides, and defending their opinions like it was personal. And this is where things got even messier, the contradictions. Because some clips made Claressa's comments seem completely fair and professional, like she was simply speaking from her boxing knowledge. But then other clips, depending on how they were framed or edited, made it feel more critical, more pointed, almost like it had a different tone. At the same time, Karlissa's response had the same effect. Some people saw it as passionate and protective, while others saw it as aggressive and unnecessary. And that difference in perception, yeah, it kept the argument alive. Because now it wasn't just about what was said, it was about how people felt about it. And feelings, those don't stay neutral for long. Meanwhile, the conversation started spreading beyond just fans. Influencers, bloggers, and even other public figures started chiming in. Some dropped subtle comments, others were more direct. But either way, they added even more noise to an already chaotic situation. You had people posting things like, sometimes honesty isn't disrespect, clearly siding with Claressa. Then, others saying, don't play with a mother about her child, backing Karlissa. And just like that, the internet turned into a battlefield of perspectives. At the same time, Blueface's fight itself almost became secondary. Think about that for a second. The original event that sparked all of this drama was now overshadowed by the reactions, the arguments, and the back and forth energy between Karlissa and Claressa. That's how intense this situation got, because now it wasn't just about boxing anymore. It was about pride. It was about respect. It was about who gets to speak and who gets to respond. And in a situation like that, things don't calm down easily. Then came another twist. People started digging deeper into the history between everyone involved, not necessarily direct history, but connections, past moments, previous opinions, anything that could add context to what was happening now. And the more they looked, the more layered the situation started to feel, because suddenly this didn't feel like a random disagreement anymore. It felt like something bigger, something built on underlying tension that just needed the right moment to explode. And that moment, yeah, this was it. Then new clips started circulating, showing different angles, different interpretations, different vibes, and once again, the narrative shifted, because now people weren't just reacting to what happened. They were re-evaluating it. Wait, maybe she meant it like this. Hold on, that changes everything. Did we take this the wrong way? And just like that, the certainty people had before started turning into doubt, because when multiple versions of the same moment exist, it becomes harder to decide what's real. And in a situation already this chaotic, that kind of uncertainty only makes things more intense. Now the conversation wasn't just about who was right or wrong. It became about what actually happened. And that question, that's the one that keeps people locked in. Because once you start questioning the narrative, you don't stop, you go back, you rewatch, you analyze, you connect dots that weren't obvious before. And in doing that, you create even more possibilities. So now we're at a point where everything feels amplified. The reactions, the opinions, the energy. It's all bigger, louder, and more complicated than it was at the start. And just when everybody thought the chaos had finally reached its limit, the aftermath came in and flipped everything all over Aga. Because instead of things calming down, instead of people moving on, the situation shifted into something even more unpredictable. The energy changed, the tone changed, and suddenly, it wasn't just drama anymore. It felt like something deeper. At first, people expected things to cool off. That's how these situations usually go, right? A few heated reactions, a couple viral clips. Then the internet moves on to the next topic, but not this time. This time, the conversation stayed alive, and if anything, it got more intense with every passing moment, because now it wasn't just about what Karlissa said or what Claressa originally meant. It became about perception, how people interpreted everything, how they connected the dots, and what they believed was really going on behind the scenes. And once perception takes over, the story stops being simple. Every new post felt like it carried meaning. Every reaction felt intentional. If Karlissa spoke again, people analyzed it. If Claressa stayed quiet, people analyzed that too. Silence became just as loud as speaking. And that's when you know a situation has fully taken over the internet. Meanwhile, the emotional fallout started becoming more visible. Fans weren't just debating anymore. They were invested. You had people defending Karlissa like it was personal, saying she did exactly what any mother would do. Others stood firmly with Claressa, saying professional opinions shouldn't be taken as disrespect. And that divide, it didn't go away. If anything, it became stronger, because now people weren't just reacting to one moment. They were building entire narratives around it. One side saw loyalty and protection. The other saw overreaction and misunderstanding. And neither side was willing to back down. At the same time, Blueface's name remained at the center of everything. Even though he wasn't the one speaking, his fight, his performance, his situation, it all stayed connected to the bigger story. And that connection made everything feel more personal, more layered, more complicated. But here's where things took another turn. Subtle details started coming out. Nothing loud, nothing dramatic, but enough to make people pause. Little moments, small inconsistencies. Things that didn't fully match the narrative people had been following. And once people noticed that, they went back. They rewatched clips. They revisited comments. They started looking at everything from a different perspective. And the more they looked, the more questions started forming. Because certain things didn't feel as clear as they did before. Now the conversation shifted again. It wasn't just about the reaction or the response. It became about what might have been misunderstood. Because what if the tone wasn't what people thought it was? What if the reaction was based on something deeper than what we saw? What if there's context that the public doesn't fully have? And those questions, they changed everything. Because once doubt enters the situation, it spreads fast. What once felt certain now feels questionable. What once felt clear now feels complicated. And suddenly, the entire narrative is open to interpretation again. At the same time, alliances started shifting in ways nobody expected. People who were loud at the beginning started going quiet. Others who stayed silent began speaking up, and new voices entered the conversation, adding even more layers to an already complex situation. It became clear that this wasn't just a moment, it was a ripple effect. And that ripple didn't just affect Karlissa and Claressa, it affected everyone watching, because now people weren't just following the drama, they were part of it. Every comment, every opinion, every reaction added to the story. and in a situation this public. That kind of involvement keeps things alive longer than expected. But here's the most interesting part of all of this. It doesn't feel finished, because situations like this don't just end with one response or one reaction. They evolve, they build, they reveal new layers over time. And based on everything we've seen so far, it feels like there's still more to come. Because think about it, we still don't have full clarity. We still don't have complete answers. We're still connecting dots that may or may not even be there. And that uncertainty, that's what keeps people watching. So now we're left with a story that doesn't have a clean ending, a situation that feels bigger than it started, and a narrative that continues to shift every time new details come out. But if there's one thing we can take from all of this, wasn't regular drama. This was a full-blown internet war with plot twists, reactions, and energy that kept escalating. Every 5 minutes, one comment turned into a response. That response turned into a debate. And now we're all sitting here like, wait, who's actually right? So go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money. Because clearly this story just dragged us through chaos with no warning and no exit plan. Don't tap it softly either. Hit it with the same energy Karlissa had when she stepped in and said, "Yeah, we're not doing that today." Now I need you in those comments, because this is where the real show starts. Tell me what you think. Was Karlissa right for defending her son? Or did Claressa Shields just speak facts that people weren't ready to hear? And be honest, because I already know the opinions are about to be loud. Drop your takes, your theories, your breakdowns. I want all of it. Because this situation, yeah, it's not simple, and everybody sees it differently. And that's exactly why it's still trending. And if you're still watching and haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? This is Fang Flaws. This is where the drama gets unpacked, the chaos gets analyzed, and the stories everybody's arguing about finally start making sense.